Good morning, this is your Math Sensei, Mr. Spensei, and this is day 5 is domain and range continuous functions, and we are going to start with a warm-up. I'm going to break this into 2 videos because there's a lot of material here, so we're going to have a warm-up video and then we'll have the actual notes themselves. So the warm-up, this is a review of yesterday. So the very first thing you want to know, is this a function or a non-function? And if I use the vertical line test, and I'm just going to use a pencil here, I hope it shows up. Everywhere I draw, I can only hit the line once when I draw a vertical line. So this is in fact a function. So that's a function. Okay, so the very first thing is domain. Domain is the x's. And with domain, and I don't have a whole lot of room, domain is left to right. Domain is left to right. So we're going to start at farthest to the left. And furthest to the left is right here. And that looks like that's at -6. So we'll go ahead and mark -6, and we have a solid. So we get a solid mark there. And remember, with a solid, we are going to use the one with a line underneath it. So a less than or equal to. Then furthest to the right, we're over here at +6. Well, +6, I notice, has a hollow, so I need to circle a hollow here. So we're talking about describing this distance right here. And that's a less than symbol. So we know that we have a -6, and that got the less than or equal to. Domain is the x. We have a less than symbol with a +6. Okay, so that's our domain. Our range, on the other hand, range is our y values, and range is bottom to top, because we're always going for the smallest number, which is the negatives to the positive, always going negative to positive every single time, negative to positive, negative to positive. So starting off at the lowest point of the graph, it's actually right here. This time it's exactly the same. And I go, oh, the lowest point of the graph, and I draw to the y-axis. The lowest point of the graph is at -1. So I'm going to mark a -1, and it's a solid. And the highest point of the graph, and I know this is a little bit off, is supposed to be at 3. So we're going to make a, oops, that's not a solid, that's a hollow. And this gets a less than or equal to, and this just gets a less than, and we're looking for that. So we know we're going to have a -1 less than or equal to, range is the y's, a less than, and we stop at 3. Okay, next one. Once again, domain is the x's. All right, we can't forget that. Domain is the x's, range is the y. We're going from smallest to largest in the x direction, so left to right, because this is the x-axis. And furthest to the left appears to be right here at -4. I don't see a hollow. If I don't see a hollow, that means it's a solid. So this is -4, this is a solid, and it's going to get a less than or equal to. Then I go over to, oh, and I skipped something. I'll come back to it in a moment. Then I need to go furthest to the right, and I look, and oh, furthest to right appears to be at 2, and 2 is definitely a solid. So we're going to get a less than or equal to. So we have -4 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 2. What I skipped was, is this a function or not a function? And if I draw a vertical line, I hit twice. And anytime you hit twice, that means the x repeats. So this is in fact a non-function. So we have a non-function there. Okay, range. Range is our y values, as we noted right here. and we want to start at the bottom or the lowest value. And our lowest value is right here. And we always draw it to the y-axis. It looks like it's hitting the y-axis at -3. And it's a solid. Solids get a less than or equal to. And we're going to go to the top, which is at +3. Once again, it's a solid, so less than or equal to. And at this point, I'm looking at it and go, well, that's -3 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 3. All right, next one, vertical line test. If I draw a line, I'm only hit a vertical line, I'm only hitting the picture one time. So because I only hit it one time when I draw any vertical line, it is a function. If I hit it more than once, it's not a function. So once again, we're going to start furthest to the left, or the most negative x value, the smallest x value. That's at -4. So I need to mark -4 on the graph, and this is a hollow. Because it's a hollow, it gets a less than symbol. Furthest to the right is at 5. 5 is a solid, so it gets a less than or equal to. Remember, domain is the x's, range is the y's. So our domain is -4 less than, by the way, we're looking for this, we're interested in this area right here, -4 less than x less than or equal to 5. All right. The next one, our range. Range, we're talking about the lowest value, the most negative value, or the smallest value, and we always draw to the y-axis. Oops, somehow or another that didn't make, I don't know what happened, that didn't print. So we need a -5 here, and it's a solid, so it's a less than or equal to. And we went all the way up to 3, and that's a +3. And I know that because this is where, when I draw the line, it hits the y-axis. It hits at 3. And it doesn't have a hollow, so this is also a less than or equal to. So we have -5 less than or equal to y less than or equal to 3. All right. Domain again. Remember, domain is our x's, ranges are y's. We're going to start at the most negative x value, which is on the left, which occurs right there at -5. So we're going to start at -5, and that's doesn't have a hollow. It doesn't have that mark, so it's a solid. So this is a less than or equal to. And we're going to go to farthest to our right. It doesn't have a hollow, so that makes it a solid. And it's at 5 because that's where it crosses the x-axis. And this is a less than or equal to. So we're looking, this is our domain, this area in here. All right, our range. We're going to start with the lowest value. Our lowest value is at -8. That's where our smallest is. So -8, and it happens to be a hollow. So a hollow gets a less than. And then it goes to 7, which is a solid. And solid gets a less than or equal to. So in this case, we have negative, well, we'll come back and do the domain. -8 less than y less than or equal to +8. Our domain was at -5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 5. I hope this helps and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you.